What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we are talking about Hulu's latest film, No One Will Save You. Home invasions are scary enough as it is. Imagine instead of a human being trying to do it, you had aliens trying to break in instead. So No One Will Save You, that is officially streaming now on Hulu, is directed by Brian Duffield and stars Kaitlyn Dever. The film opens up and we get introduced to our main character of the film, Brynn, played by Kaitlyn Dever. Brynn is living by herself, and we find out she's kind of a homebody. She doesn't really leave her home too much, and when she does go into town alone at one point, you see not everyone there exactly likes her. And so all of this really kind of adds to the isolation for the character, and so when shit hits the fan, you really feel like she's alone. And we also see Brynn, she's writing letters to her friend Maud, and we see that she's trying to apologize for something. You don't see it. You know, it's kind of hinted at throughout the film. You end up getting it revealed by the end of the movie. But you see that she's writing letters, and so just being by herself, you can tell that she's definitely going through a lot at this moment in her life. And so one night, she ends up going to bed, and she wakes up because she hears a noise downstairs, and when she goes to check out to see what's going on, she finds out that there is an alien in the house. And that's all I'll pretty much say as far as the plot goes, because I definitely want you guys, if you haven't seen it already, I want you to check it out and go into it knowing as little as possible to get the best experience. So one thing that we'll discuss first is that there is almost no dialogue in this film at all. You might faintly hear some background characters every now and then. You hear them talking off in the distance, because again, for the most part, this film focuses on Brynn. So you might hear them, you might hear Brynn kind of mumbling some stuff or shrieking or screaming. But for the most part, there is no dialogue in this film at all. There's not even any subtitles like what they did with A Quiet Place, where the family was using sign language to communicate. That's not the case here. So there's really no dialogue at all in the film. And I can definitely see that being polarizing for some audiences for sure, and testing people's patience. I've already seen some other people talking about the film and saying that because of this, they felt the film was boring. But in my case, I actually really enjoyed it. I like that twist that they went with. I wasn't expecting that going into the film, so that was kind of a nice surprise. And honestly, in what the film was lacking in dialogue, I thought it made up for an incredible sound design and score as well. As far as characters go, this film lands squarely on the shoulders of Kaitlyn Dever and her performance as Brynn. If this character doesn't work, then this whole film isn't going to work, because where so much of the focus is on her being the lead, and there's not really many other characters that she interacts with in the film. But I'm here to tell you guys that she was excellent in this lead role. Even though there's not a lot of dialogue in this film, I was very invested in this character, wanted to learn more about her and felt for her and what she was going through, kind of thrown into this crazy situation. And I imagine trying to pull off a role like this where there isn't really, much dialogue at all, and you really have to do a lot of your acting just with your emotions and, just body language and things like that. So I was really impressed with her in this role. Now, as far as the aliens go, so you definitely get more of a classic design to them. I won't go into details because, again, I want you guys to see it for yourself, but I'll just say you get more of a classic design when it comes to the aliens. And I really appreciated, being a big horror fan, that especially when we get more of the close-ups of the aliens, the use of practical effects to create some of the designs for them. There definitely is, I think, some CGI used for some of the shots when they're farther away, but when they are up close, you can tell that some of those were practical effects, and I thought that those looked great. We also get a number of different variations of aliens in the film as well, so even for the most part, they had that classic alien design, that look to them. We get different sizes of aliens, and some that look slightly different than others while still having that similar design. So I like that mix up as far as like the aliens go as well too. When I first saw this trailer, I was really hoping we were going to get a classic throwback type of alien invasion flick. And so I was really happy when we saw what the aliens looked like in this film, what design they decided to go with them. I was really a big fan of that. I know some people might think, oh, that's kind of your, typical, when you think of aliens, that's what you might think they look like. But I don't know, that's kind of what I was looking for in this movie, so I was really happy with that. And as far as the way that these aliens moved, the way that they would stand there and just like their bodies would twitch, or they would contort their bodies and kind of move, just really weird ways. And And I don't know, it was kind of, that part was kind of unsettling to me. It was definitely a little creepy, the way that they kind of moved around. So I thought that that added to the eeriness atmosphere of the film. I also really liked how the aliens were shot in the film. So pretty early on, you get to see what these aliens look like up close. You get to see the whole alien. Like, they don't really waste a lot of time of hiding them, which at first I was like, oh no, I was kind of hoping that maybe they would keep them, you know, in the shadows or whatever. But throughout the film, I really appreciated, like, at sometimes you would just see these glowing eyes kind of hiding in the background, or you would see a shot and the alien would be out of focus, and I thought that worked really well, or aliens would be hiding on top of houses and things like that. So the way that they were shot throughout the film, I thought some of those shots were really effective. As far as the directing and the cinematography goes in this movie, I was actually really happy that Brian Duffield made the choice to have very little dialogue in this film, which I know might be a controversial opinion. Like I said, I've seen some other people's thoughts on the film, and some people weren't exactly a fan of that, but I don't know, for me, that actually really worked and enhanced my experience of watching the movie. And there were some other amazing shots throughout the film too. There's one in particular that I won't go into detail. Again, I don't want to give any spoilers away. I want you guys to check it out, but I'll just say it involves a red light, and yeah, that scene for me, that was very intense. I loved how that played out. And not only that, but there were a number of other shots throughout the film that I was really impressed by that actually had me a little unsettled, or I thought were pretty creepy. And as far as the ending of the film goes, so I was almost thinking the film was going to end at one certain point, and I would have probably been fine with it ending there too, but where this film ends up by the very end of the movie, I've seen some other people, again, it seems to be very polarizing as far as that goes, but for me, I actually liked how the film wrapped up. Again, I won't tell you what happens, but the way that it leaves everything, I was happy with that. I was satisfied with it. It does end kind of weird a little bit, but I dug it overall. But hey, I could totally understand for the people that maybe didn't care for it. I can see where you're coming from if this necessarily doesn't work for you. Overall, I actually absolutely loved No One Will Save You. I was really looking forward to this. Ever since I saw the trailer debut, I was like, oh man, this gives me those classic alien invasion films. And I feel like we don't really get a lot of these type of alien invasion flicks anymore that kind of remind me of Signs and different things like that. So when I saw the trailer, this was probably one of the most anticipated movies for me for the rest of the year, specifically for the fall. So I had a lot of anticipation going into it, and for me personally, it lived up to the expectations. It's exactly what I was hoping for, but it also adds its own twist to it, and I really appreciated that. So as far as the score goes, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I really dug this film. I actually hope that what they did with Prey, because I was worried we weren't going to get a physical release of that, but we are actually getting a release from that from 20th Century. So I hope they do the same thing with this film, because I would love to own this on physical media. I'm going to be watching this several times for sure. I can't wait to watch it again. And but I'm definitely curious what you guys thought of the film, because like I said, it seems to be pretty polarizing for people, to say the least. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts were. What did you have certain expectations going into it, and what did you think of the film overall? So let me know down below in the comments. As always, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up, and as always guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.